So sings my soul. Praise my God of love and life. So sings my soul. A joy.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles return into their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. It's all right.
Wow, I love that, Jennifer. And David Marsh, thank you. And how do you know somebody's really signs of mind? You know when that person sings, "Here comes the sun" when it's raining. Ah. And how do you know when somebody's a realistic signs of mind teacher? He sings, "Raindrops falling on my head" when it's raining. So good morning. It's a wonderful day. Listen, Cecile and I were going through raindrops, and when there weren't raindrops, there were lights that usually look green, decide that they're going to look red this morning. And, you know, it's just life. It's just life happening. And the good thing about life happening is that you're here happening with it. Can you imagine all this life happening and you're not even here with it? I certainly don't want to imagine that too much. I mean, when the time comes, it comes. But I don't want the time to come before the time comes. And so while we're here, we practice the signs of mind, which is, what are the signs of mind? This kind of a, strange name, signs of mind. It really, science just means the way something works. That's what science means. And mind means God. So we practice the way God works in the world. That's all it means. Forget what Ernest Holmes says about it. It's too much philosophy. It's too complicated. Let's break it down so we can say, "Here comes the sun," and we just know that it means optimism. How's that? Glad to say, well, how's that? Huh? Are you out there? Oh, woo, I tell you. It's good to be here. I'm glad to see you. I understand that we are getting to a point now where we are going to start streaming. If we, you know, they say if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, Muhammad has to go to the mountain. People won't come into church. We have to take the church out there. So we're in the process right now, and Pat reminds me that I need to be on my best behavior when we do that because people out there may not know who you are. They say, "What kind of crazy person is that?" I say, "No, it's not a crazy person. It's a person just having fun with God." And isn't that what we're supposed to do? Yes, come on, guys. You know, we make this life too tragic. We fill ourselves with news every day, and then life becomes so tragic. All we can say, well, this bad thing happened, that bad thing happened. Tell me a few good things that are happening, because we need to balance off the other thing. You know that? And that's what we do in Science of Mind. So glad you're here. Welcome to all of you, and let's have a great service. And Jennifer and David have gotten us on to a good start, and Emma is going to get us to Emma Lee. Yeah, you know, it's wonderful to have people who change their names, and then you get to an age where, first of all, you could hardly remember the name they had. No, and now you have to remember. No, Emma has been with me a long time. And of course, up there is Pat Gentry and Denara, and who else? Oh, he's not there.
That's it today.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, thank you. Let's stand and sing some songs now and sound like we're feeling good, okay? If you don't even feel it, pretend.
Look for the silver lining whenever a cloud appears in the blue. Remember somewhere the sun is shining, and so the right thing to do is make it shine for you. A heart full of joy and gladness will always banish sadness and strife. So always look for the silver lining and try to find the sunny side of life. Look for the silver lining whenever a cloud appears in the blue. Remember somewhere the sun is shining, and so the right thing to do is make it shine for you. A heart full of joy and gladness will always banish sadness and strife. So always look for the silver lining and try to find the sunny side of life. I think so. Give it a try. Good morning. Can you hear me? No. Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure. Okay. Get the orange one? I think so.
Good morning again. I'm Emma Lee, and it's always an honor to assist Dr. Arthur every Sunday, first Sunday. So welcome, everyone. I would like to start off by saying there's a practitioner, we have a practitioner vigil every Sunday. So today the practitioner and soon to be minister is Dan Wenzel, who's sitting over there. And after the service, Dan will come and stand in front of the organ so that if there's anyone who would like to have prayer, then they can come forward. The prayer boxes are in the foyer each Sunday before the service. You can fill out the request form and put it in the box, and your request will be read by a practitioner during the week and prayed over all of the requests that are in the box. We do that every week. Our practitioners pray not just for you. It doesn't have to be for you. It can be a friend or any family member. And any person that's wanting prayer does not have to be a member of Founders. We've been doing that ever since I've been here, and so it's a long time. The Mystic Circle on Wednesday night service by Zoom is at 6:30 p.m. And Dr. Arthur's topic this Wednesday, is based on Ernest Holmes' chapter in Living the Science of Mind, and that's entitled The Cause of Human Troubles. We would love to have you join us. If you don't have a Zoom invitation, you can call the church, or you can see an usher out in the foyer or a staff member and give them your information. All they need is your email address, your contact information, and they'll send you an invitation, which has the ID number and the passcode. Really, really easy. The other important announcement, all are important, but here's another one that isn't mentioned but only once a year, and that's our annual membership meeting, which is going to be held April 30th at 12 o'clock in the chapel. This is your opportunity to hear about church business and some of the planned activities, as well as to vote on any issues that may be presented at that meeting. So do plan to attend, because it's really very important, a very important meeting, because this is your church, our church, and Dr. Arthur wants you, and the board wants you to know everything that's going on. So try to put that on your calendar. Today, being the first Sunday of the month, we're honoring all people who have birthdays in March. If you are one of those special people, then we'd like for you to stand so that we can recognize you with an applause. To come downstairs, because we always have a birthday cake to celebrate everyone whose, 2 people that I see, birthday is in March. And you can visit with each other and connect with people that you've been seeing and don't really know what their name is. It's really a good thing to come down. Next Sunday, we will be celebrating, hint, hint, Dr. Arthur's birthday. Yes. He gets a special one ahead of time, right? We have a new karaoke machine gifted to us by Dr. Doug Alston. There, thank you, Dr. Doug. So we'll be hearing you on that machine, right? Hopefully. And we hope to have it operating and all up to speed by the time we have that celebration for Dr. Arthur. Be thinking of what song or songs you would like to perform for this great occasion. Now, if there are any first-time visitors, could you please stand so that we can welcome you as well? Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Founders family. I know you could have gone anywhere else and you chose to come to Founders, and we definitely appreciate it. Please come back again and again. Thank you. Okay. Now, let's see. We want everyone to stand and greet each other, wave, blow kisses, standing. On the front of your program at the bottom, you'll see an affirmation. Let's say that together. And we also want to remain standing and say our vision and mission statement. If you don't have it in your program, which they should, right? Well, I'll say it. Okay, I'll say it and you just listen. Okay. Okay, here's the affirmation together. I am at peace with my past failures and successes, happy with my present, and excited to explore my immense possibilities for a future, better future. And so it is. You may be seated. Oh, no, mission statement. The first I'll read is our vision statement. Understanding and applying the science of mind and working for community transformation. And the vision statement. We teach the science of mind, a positive spirituality, taking truth from all sources. We seek to unite people of all ages, races, and cultures into a caring community. We help people bring their dreams into reality. We teach personal responsibility and self-mastery. We teach healing and well-being as the 5 excellencies: spiritual, mental, physical, social, emotional, and environmental. We teach people how to develop their genius, to thrive and flourish. We help in the development of children and hold life in trust for the future generations. We serve our community in areas of our strengths. We encourage the arts. We work at manifesting the highest level of spiritual awareness every day. You may be seated. I'm going to be reading the scriptures today from James, 1st chapter, 17th verse. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. And from the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes, page 151, verse 4, paragraph, and page 152, verse 1. There is a place in us which lies open to the infinite. But when the Spirit brings its gift by pouring itself through us, it can give us only what we take. And now will you close your eyes and join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
You're the heart of my contentment, hope through all I do. My God, you're the center of my joy.
And now, as we prepare ourselves to receive the message that Dr. Arthur is bringing to us today, we remember the verses that he's chosen. That we have to be open and receptive to the gift that Spirit has promised to give us. To know that that promise has been unfailing. No matter how much things change in our spiritual world, in our physical world, we know that Spirit remains the same. It is always there waiting for us to turn to it. So it's my prayer today that we can embody these words from the scriptures, that we can listen attentively to Reverend Arthur's message, because his message always has one theme. The topics may be different, but his goal is to help us feel that presence of the infinite, which is within each and every one of us. So in doing this, I speak my word for the musicians today, the beautiful music that's being brought to us by Jennifer and the pianist. I speak my word for all those who are having challenges with our unusual weather. That Spirit is there with them, that they're guided, guarded, and protected. I speak my words for the members who are shut in, who are not able to attend today, knowing that prayer, if spoken from a place within, with total belief, that it can reach anyone that we're speaking our word for. So I know then that I can release these words knowing that I have spoken them with faith and belief in the power of Spirit, and that I release these words to you, that you can embrace them, embody them, and live the life that Spirit has prepared for each and every one of us. So with this understanding, for this opportunity to share this prayer, I just say thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. And I release them to the universe, knowing that the universe is the servant of the Spirit, and that Spirit is God, and God is all there is. And so it is.
Open my eyes that I may see fullness of truth thou hast for me. Place in my hands that wonderful key that shall soul. Great is my God of love and life. So sings my soul, a joy it's never known. So sings my heart, like the celestial winds that say, this is my heart's delight, the infinite way. So sings my soul. Great is my God of love and life. So sings my soul, a joy it's never known. So sings my heart, like the celestial winds that say, this is my heart's delight, the infinite way. I will sing my soul, I will sing my heart, I will sing my joy today. My joy today, my joy today, I'm filled with the infinite way. So sings my soul. Great is my God of love and life. So sings my soul, a joy it's never known. So sings my heart, like the celestial winds that say, this is my heart's delight, the infinite way. I can sense it, I can hear it, I can demonstrate the triumphant spirit. Cheer it, revere it, the triumphant spirit.
Wow. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, David. Yeah. Composed by Arthur Chang, that song, and arranged by Bob Ralston. Yeah. Yeah. That was wonderful. Wow. You know, Jennifer started off with that, Here Comes the Sun, and I mentioned to you the way you know about a science of mind practitioner is that they can sing Here Comes the Sun when it's raining. And, you know, you have to have that sense of optimism about your life. And this is really great. This is what life is about. If you can't feel it, what's the point of being here? Can you imagine you're here and every day you're making this time waste by going along and saying, oh, I don't know what my life's about. Hey, come on, here comes everything, the beauty of life. Yes, it's a mess sometimes, but spirituality is about finding the flower in the chaos. That's what your spirituality is about. And this is what we're here for. And you know, I see millions of people taking all kinds of drugs to keep themselves calm and all that because they're going crazy. They don't go to church. I think it would be cheaper to go to church, wouldn't you? Think so? Well, if you don't want to believe in a power greater than you are, and that can help you to get your life not only through, not only to survive, but to thrive and to flourish, then you are not a very good husband person of the wonderful gifts that you have received. So it's a new month. It's a new month. And I'm calling it Teachings of the Science of Mind. But I want you to know one thing. I'm a little different, and I don't know whether Ernest Holmes would appreciate this or not, but I think he would, because he speaks of everything that is spiraling upward and outward and onward. And what I really teach is what I call process science of mind. And process science of mind is the inclusion of the latest thinking in theology, where we are dealing with the fact that life is a process. Life is process. And so many things that I will say every now and then are because the teaching of quantum science and the teaching of reflection on what Plato taught when Ernest Holmes was formulating the science of mind are now shifted quite a bit. And Heraclitus has become more important in saying that you can't step in the same river twice, which means life is ongoing. You're forever coming into being. But we won't get into too much of that. I want to stay on the subject this morning, which is, you are a gift of possibilities. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine you get up in the morning and you're saying, I don't know what to do with my life. There's a word for that. Start with D. Depression. It's like dying and going to hell. If we still believed in hell, that would be like dying and going to hell. Of course, people don't even understand how the notion of hell came into being, but we're not going to get into that. But these are our metaphysical and mythical ideas that have found a concrete expression in our own minds as to whether these things are real or not. What you know is real is that Moses summarized that you're to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. If you understand that love is that center of the unity of life and where you get the greatest expression from, it will change your life. But let's talk about some of the things we are here to talk about this morning. And I want to talk about the fact that we're dealing with the gift that you are, the gift of possibilities. And I want to start out by telling you something about the hints and clues within Scripture that tell you about these things. And we're going to look at the clues of the light of the world. Why Jesus said you're the light of the world. We're going to talk about what the secret of living is giving. When you understand that the secret of living is giving, it will reframe the way you approach life daily. We're going to talk about as you seeth, that you beeth. So whatever you see is how you become. The becoming has to do with the seeing, and it's all tied in with the light and seeing more clearly what you're creating. And we're going to talk about freedom and what freedom means. And we're going to eventually talk about grace, which is the activities of your gift. So let's start with you're the light of the world. The greatest gift you have is your life. Let not be pussyfooting around that issue. The greatest gift you have is your life. When somebody holds a gun to you and says, give me all that you have and I will not shoot you, you will say, take it, because you don't want to be shot. You want your life. Your life is really where you begin, as far as you know. And there is a great delight and a great experience of being here and living in that center that feels the eternality of God, the infiniteness of God, even as you go along. And Genesis gives us a hint right away. The first chapter of Genesis tells us that first God was hovering over the chaos, the dark, and God said, let there be light. Let there be light, and there was light. And what we're seeing here is that the light, the perception to see light, to shed light on whatever it is that is actually here or is in your mind. It's not there yet. And so we're saying in the beginning, not only of God, but of your life, there are the notions of what your life can possibly be. And they are not in the objective world yet, but they're in the subjective world. You can imagine it and reimagine it. And what is more important, you can bring it into being. And so we see that gift of possibilities right there where God says, let there be light. But God does that first by surveying the chaos, the darkness, the deep, as the poetic rendition of it comes over to us from the writer of Genesis, writing somewhere about 400 BC, before Christ. This chapter of the Bible is written after the second and third chapter of the Bible, which is Genesis 2 and 3, where it gives you a different version of creation. So we have two separate versions of creation. This is what it means to be mythic, that it doesn't have to be actual, but it refers to the actualities of your potentialities within yourself. It is telling you something not only about God, it's telling you something about you. And when you have an issue, when you have a chaos in your life, you must come to a place where you can hover above, through meditation, through prayer, above the chaos. And at some point, there will be a light that will begin to appear. And it is the soul bringing in that eternal command that is already in the soul, to let there be light, let there be a solution, let there be an insight into what you can do about it. And this creation begins to take place within you. And notice that God didn't say, let there be all creation. There is a sequence of days, which is to tell the Jews that days are important, and sequence is important, and becoming is important. This begets that, and it becomes. And you will see that in many places within the Bible, that this one beget this one, that one beget the other one, and so on. Just as in your creation of your life, this is begetting that. You take this action, this idea, and it begets the next one. And before you know it, you're bringing into your being the things that were your dreams before. But this is not all there is. We find that Jesus points out the importance of being this light. And he says, you're the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid, nor do men light a lamp and put it under a bushel, but on a stand. Not under a bushel. The light that you are is not for you alone. The light that you are is a spiritual light. It is to be shared. He puts the light on a stand, not under a bushel. A bushel is when you begin to suck in all the goodness for yourself, all the wealth that you get for yourself, all the accomplishment. You look at all your certificates on the wall, and you want your friends to see all your certificate as if your certificate is you. It's not your life. What your life is, what have you done with it? What are you doing with it? What are you becoming because you now have skills and talents that are developed that you can share? What are you doing with the rest of your life? That is what the question is. So Jesus said, you put it on the stand so that it gives light to all in the house. So let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify the Father who is in heaven. Glorify the Father who is in heaven means that you get out of your ego, to realize that you're in a participatory universe. You're participating in creation. Creation is never beginning at the beginning. The beginning is every moment. Every moment. Quantum physics tells us that everything goes out of being and comes back into being, perishes and comes back into being in every single moment. And so creation is not some event at some time that you can pin down, but it's forever happening, forever occurring. And that is the creative process, change that is taking place. And you're participating with that, with a mind that is magnificent, a mind that is godlike. And that's why it says you're made in God's image and likeness, because you're godlike in how you can create. And this is what you can do. In the Gospel of John, John says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. So the darkness is the chaos. The darkness is the things that you feel aren't working well. The darkness is the limitations that you feel that you did not encourage or invite to be part of your life. There are limitations you want. You know, you get up in the morning, and if you have a little too much weight on, you say, well, I'd like to limit my weight to so-and-so. But it's your business whether you want to be with that weight or a bigger weight. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you say that this is what I be, that's a limit. But not all limitations are bad. Not all limitations are good. But the ones that you don't want, the limits that you don't want are the ones that Science of Mind is talking about. The limits that prevent you from becoming the best you can become. Those are the limits that you are working against. So John is talking about that when he says that the light shines in the darkness grasps it. You cannot be hindered from making that progress internally, subjectively, but being who you are. And this is really what your life is about. You do all these things, but it's not the things, it's who you're becoming, not what you're begetting, but who you're becoming. There's nothing wrong with begetting, but it is who you're becoming. That is really the test of whether or not you are living the gift of possibilities. We look further and we say, and we see in John also, that the one who walks in darkness does not know where he's going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of the light. And we can edit that to say sons and daughters. The ancient people were male-oriented, and so everything is said in sons and father and so on. It's all of us. If you read Genesis 1, when it says, and God made men and women in his likeness, the second verse. You know, it started by saying man, but man is generic. And then in the next line after it, it says men and women in his likeness. And this is, you know, you get a different rendition from Genesis 2 and 3, but we have talked about that many times here for those of you who are used to coming here. So I don't have time to get into that. The ancients also say, as you seest, that you beest. And so you can see perception. Perception has to do with light. You know, you get up in the morning and the dawn is coming on, and you look out into your room, and you see a familiar set of lumps of shadows. But you know what each lump of shadow means. Because, you know, yes, the dresser is there. Yes, I got a sitting stool here, a chair over there, the bed is here. But you don't really see them. You just know that they're there. But as the dawn comes in and the light comes in, then you can now identify clearly, oh, that was that color, and that was that color, and that was that shape. So perception means light. It means you are now having that insight. And before you can have the outsight of the objective world manifesting what you think, you need to think it. You need to think it. You need to believe it. You need to firm it up with your belief in there. It's like a sculptor beginning to shape what it is that the form is in one's imagination. And so Michelangelo could look at a block and he said, oh, I can see there's a figure that wants to be released from this block of marble. And that's what your life is like. You are looking at the block of marble, the unformed life that is before you, and you want to shape it up and do something well with it. And so we must come to a point where we can affirm that I am the son or daughter of light. I am the light of the world. I am the perceiver, the perceptive power of creation for my life. I am the perceptive power of creation for my life. That's what you are. So let's talk about the secret of living is giving. When we know that the happiness that you feel is more enduring when it comes from your givingness than when you receive something. You may have a momentary happiness when you receive something. It wears off quite quickly. You know, you've said, wow, I got this. But how many times you're going to go around and say, I got this? But when you give something, it expands itself like dropping a pebble in a pond. It keeps expanding throughout the universe. And you touch somebody with your giving, and that person touched somebody else with their giving. And before you know it, there are a lot of people being touched. Why? Because you initiated something that was good. And so it is the feeling that resonates, that comes back to you. It bounces back to you. Whatever you put out there comes back to you. That's the law of circulation. That's the law of giving and receiving. Whatever you give, you give. What you receive is very much as you give. So it's that kind of thing that you're doing when you realize that the secret of living is giving. So whether it's wealth or anything. Tony Robbins had an interesting saying. He says that life is a gift, and it offers us the privilege, opportunity, and responsibility to give something back by becoming something more. You become something more. Every time you give, you become something more. Because the nature of your life is fundamentally spiritual. And God is the giver, giving through you for all of life. To let that lamp be on a stand so it can give light to all in the house. Let your light, which is your givingness, your radiance, the goodness that is in you. And sometimes it may even include the badness in you as long as you're trying to correct it. And realize that all of these things are contributing to the muscle memory of spiritual fitness that is taking place within you. You know, you're like Jacob, you're struggling sometimes with the angel, trying to even struggle with God. Say, God, why did you make this happen? And I'm going to see if I can answer some of that question later on, but not right now. So you're doing these, and you're looking at the fact that it gives you a chance when you think about the fact that you're giving. You know, why are you doing this? When you say, why are you doing this? Why am I doing this? It gives you a chance to look at yourself, to ask yourself, who am I? And then when you ask yourself, who am I, you may also ask yourself, who do I wish to be? Who do I wish to be? I am this based on what I have contributed to life, but who do I wish to be? Is that it? And that might be it. I'm not saying it couldn't be it. But then you begin to, if it's it, you're deepening into the itness of what it is that you think you are to be. And then you begin to think of your goals. And goals are really important because they are the planning steps, the first planning steps into what it is you want to create. Those are the goals. And what the goals do for you is that they begin to employ your talents. And the talents are your initial gift. God gives you the talents. You cannot develop a talent you weren't born with. You can develop skill for something that you don't have much talent for, but you're not going to get as far with it as somebody who has the talent for it. You can develop knowledge, and you can develop skill, and those things make your talent a strength. And so people say, how do you do that so easily? Because it was your talent. And all of us have, psychologists tell us we have about 32 talents, all of us. And we have 5 signature talents. And when you know them because when you're doing what you love, it loves you back. And you feel so good. You say, wow, that feels good. You know how that, I feel good, you know that song? Well, I can't quite do it that way. That was my talent, so I'll leave that one alone. But the thing that you need to understand is your talent also needs your values. Your values are the structure of your belief that tells you who you are. Are you a spiritual person? Are you a kind person? Are you a good person? These are your values. And when you have a talent, you must see that the talent is going in accordance with your values. Because if you don't do that, then your gift of possibilities will narrow down into a self-destructive event. And that's not what you want. You want your talents to make you grow and flourish and impact the world in a positive way, because it comes right back to you as you do that. Pablo Picasso says, our goals can only be reached through a vehicle of a plan in which we must fervently believe and upon which we must vigorously act. Believe and act, the great Picasso is saying. There is no other route to success. Believe and act is what I have always told you. It's not a question of, gee, do I have enough faith? Also look at, did I act with enough faith? Am I acting, or am I just kind of saying, okay, God, you're my heavenly butler. Would you do this? Pass me the Bud Light. I want to watch the Lakers. That's not what your life is about. Your life is to get involved in a way that is both from your goal and include your values. So we need to understand that this is the way we're going to move along. And speaking about moving along, my time is moving along, so I have to kind of move along quickly myself. When your goal and your values don't come together, Jesus has a saying for that. Jesus has a saying for a whole bunch of things, you know that? And they're all great. He says, a house divided against itself cannot what? Yes. And we see right now that, unfortunately, some of the houses cannot deal with some of the weather situation we have. We prayed for this rain, and now we've got far more rain than we like. You see what I mean? Every good thing is not always good for some people. We get a lot of rain, we need a lot of rain, but boy, we didn't want it all at once. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But the idea is we must see as best we can how we can bring the values and the goals together and move them along, because we are in this process of becoming. We are creating ourselves. That's the greatest creation you'll ever have in your life, to create who you are. So I ask you, have you given thought to who am I? You know, are you just the things you do, or are you more than that? And if you're not just the things you do, how can I now incorporate more of what I believe I should be like in this life? And you take it from there, because you have possibilities. I said to you, as thou seest, that thou beest. That's the ancient saying. And the idea is to begin to see more of God's potentiality in yourself. We say in the science of mind, God is perfect, whole, and complete. And that has a great meaning for me. I have some problem with some parts of it, but we won't get into that right now. But the idea is, when you can begin to feel the wholeness of God within you, you can say to yourself, it's not just my possibilities, it's God's possibilities through me as myself. You see, that then puts you into a different place within the soul, where the logos, which we have been talking about since January, which is the creating power within you, gets in action. And we talk about the Greek sense of what the logos was. And so that now comes into play. And it is ready to create and to bring new freedom within you. We have the freedom. We have the freedom to create. And we have been creating the life that we have chosen. And this is why the Buddha said, all that you are is the result of all you have thought. And this is similar to Jesus, as you have believed, so be it done unto you. There is a direct connection between the power of thought and the power to create. And thought alone is not creation. Creation includes participation, action. You must take action. Not just think about it, not just pray about it, but understand that God can do for you what God is doing through you. You are God's hands and ears and hands and legs and eyes, the parts that God needs to fulfill what needs to be done. So you're this light of possibilities, and you are the one who is affirming that I am the light of the world. Let's talk about freedom to choose. Now, freedom to choose is something that we all like the idea. We don't like people encroaching on our freedom, and nobody should. Nobody should encroach on your freedom. And human beings will always fight against the ones who want to encroach upon their freedom, to enslave them, to make them be less than they are. And it's a holy fight. It's a religious fight, and it needs to be done. But let me tell you a little tricky business about freedom. The thing about freedom is that you're responsible for your life. You're responsible for your life. It's a funny thing to say. God is not responsible for your life. Not when you're free. If God is responsible for your life, then God will give you a purpose. God does not give you a purpose. You choose your purpose. God gives you an aim, and the aim is good. You choose your purpose. Somebody, before the invention of piano, couldn't be like Mozart because there's no piano to play on. There's no instruments to play on. You can be talented as a musician, you can do other things, but you couldn't be that person because there are things that come into the world at that time, and then you choose those things. God, we say God is omniscient, which means God knows everything. We need to modify that. That's a Greek idea. It's a good idea because God knows everything that has happened and God knows everything that's going on. But what does God not know? God does not know the future. Why do I say that? Why does God not know? Because the future has not yet happened. It has not yet happened. You can't know something that has not yet happened. Now, let me give you a little story, a little Chang story. You have a little fox, and you put him in a hen house, and he eats off all the hens. Who's responsible for that? You are, right? You agree with that? Now, if God knew the future, and we see people who have committed atrocities in the world, and we say, why did God let them do that? God didn't let them do that. God gave them freedom. And what we need to know about God is God does not force us to do anything. God is that power that empowers you to do what you need to do, but you are the one who chooses to do what you need to do. God, if God knew Hitler was going to be killing all these Jews, then wouldn't it be God's fault for making Hitler? If God knew that this man that recently killed some members of his family was going to kill, would God not be blamed for that? So I know it's a hard thing for you to think because we all grew up with the idea that God is omnipotent, God is omnipresent, and God is omniscient. Greek ideas. And what happened with ideas is that if we hear an idea over and over for centuries, we stop questioning it. We stop asking, can this be really so? And if you really think about it, if you have your freedom, then you have your freedom. God can't just say, no, no, no. And this is one of the significance of the myth of coming out of Eden. That human beings had reached a place where they can make decisions. That's what taking the fruit of the tree. It's not disobedience. It's growth. When your children reach a certain age, that's what they do. They begin to have their own ideas and make their own choice. They're not very smart yet. They're not very experienced. And not very wise. That's true. But now they're beginning to think, you call them adult. They're thinking like a young adult. I want to make up my mind. And they want to do things that they don't have the sense of responsibility for doing yet. And so we try to prevent them. But sooner or later, we tell them, you're too big for your breeches, go on out. Go to college, go get a job, go do something. Why? Because they are coming into maturity. And yes, the world is such that we're going to make mistakes in order to learn. That's the process. That's the process. We didn't create the process, that's how the process is. And then we get wiser because we are not punished for our sins, we're punished by our sins. When we do the bad things, when we eat wrongly, and we begin to develop diseases, and then we want to pray now for God to take care of the diseases when we didn't do it, when we didn't take the injection for COVID, and then, we have problems because we don't believe in science. Science is part of spirituality. Science is part of the revelation that we have about how to do things. We don't say we don't believe in science, so we won't eat a balanced meal. We don't say that. We don't say we don't believe in science, so we won't exercise. Do we say that? But sometimes we say we don't believe in science because we don't believe in the chemicalization of drugs to help us in certain ways. But they can help us. There's nothing wrong with taking... getting the treatment from the doctor. It's part of the process. It's part of the process. So what we are saying is that we have the freedom. So God is not coercive. God is persuasive. Do you understand that? God will not force us to do something, even if it's bad. Force us from doing something. God is putting options before us all the time. Options, infinite possibilities that, no, you don't have to do that. You can do this. But the choice is ours. That's what freedom is. If God takes away the freedom from us, anytime we come to a crucial point, then it's not freedom. God is responsible for every atrocity that happens in the world. But when you believe that I have my freedom, it comes with responsibility. I am responsible for my life. And we are responsible for our lives collectively. That's what the family is. The family is not just who came from this one beget this one. It's all of us. And it doesn't matter what your color and sex is. It's part of all of us. We are all together in this thing. We are one. But we have variety. And this is beautiful. Nor can we say the devil made me do it. You have to get away from that one. The devil made me do it. That's a good one, but don't try it. The final thing is grace as activating your gift. Ernest Holmes says, there's a place in us which lies open to the infinite, but when the Spirit brings its gifts, by pouring itself through us, it can give us only what we can take. Here's what I would alter in that comment. Ernest says it can only give us what we can take. It is forever giving us more than we can take. It can only give us what we can receive, or what we will receive. We can put in front of you all these things, and we are saying to choose. Moses said it. He said, I put before you this day life and death, good and evil. Choose life that you and your descendants may live. In other words, God is forever putting before us the good options because God is good. God is eternally good, can't change. But God can change when it comes to loving us. What do I mean by that? How would God know you from me if God cannot make these distinctions and God cannot change? If God is like Aristotle tells us, is unmoved mover. God is not in all aspects like that. In love, God knows you personally. And God feels you. And God senses when you are going through your pains and suffering. Yes, God suffers with you. Yes, it's different from what you learned from Ernest Holmes, but God suffers with you. And God is putting before you all the time the options that you have, that you can use. It doesn't mean we're going to live forever. That's not the way life is set up. But it means that wherever we are, at whatever stage of life, we have the grace of how we can approach each moment by making the right choice. It is for you to understand that you are a gift of possibilities. That when you suffer, when you have problems, your destiny is to wake up to the gift of life, to be more, to create more, to do more, to give more, to find an empowering and transformative meaning in every single thing that happens to you, to know that you have a great destiny to leave, and you can leave it if you understand that I am the light of infinite possibilities, and so it is. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is our sharing time, and I'm going to ask you to stand as Jennifer leads us in song.
Praise God that good is everywhere. Praise to the love we all may share.
about God, how wonderful it is to feel your presence right in this house. To know that there is something sacred about this space that has been created by all the prayers that have happened here and all the support that all people have given for the ongoingness of this Founders Church. And so we're happy to be here, to be the ones who are carrying on this tradition, to do the great work as much and as long as we can do it. And so at this moment, we bless the gift, and we bless the giver, and we dedicate the gift to the truth that set us free, and so it is. You may be seated, everyone. Thank you, ushers, for your work. Much appreciated. David Marsh. Thank you, David. I'm going to let you into another secret. David did not come to play the piano, he came to play the organ. We play the organ once a month, and David is usually the person who does it. Not usually, he's the person who does it. And this morning, the organ says, "I'm on coffee break." And it refused to boot up. And so I don't know how you go from being prepared to play all those steps in the organ and all those keys to suddenly being able to play the piano with such dexterity and verve. And thank you, that was beautiful. And artistry, you know, we say we support art, that's what we're doing. And Jennifer, you were absolutely wonderful today. Amen. Yes, thank you. And you are absolutely wonderful yourself, all of you. Coming out in the rain, you know, as I mentioned that. How do you know a practical science of mind person? How do you know a practical mind person? They come out to church when they're singing, "Raindrops falling on my head." Well, remember, next week come and help us celebrate a birthday here. Um, Cecile has a little gift for some of you this week here. Cecile grows these, what do you call these things? Cymbidiums. They're orchids. And she has a bunch of them in the cars to give away. So if those of you who don't rush out can wait, you might be able to at least get one pretty orchid flowering plant flowers. So I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing of announcing. Cecile's a very private person. She doesn't like when I do things from the podium regarding her. And so that's why she sits always in the back and all that. But and then I get home and I have to make my own supper. Don't laugh so loud. She'll think she's doing the right thing. Anyway, very happy that you're all here today. Bring some friends. You know, we have a few more seats that we can fill. Yes, don't we? Can we see that? Yeah, bring some friends. And yeah, one thing I promise you is every week you come here, you'll get something worthwhile listening to. And that's my commitment to you. And you may not always agree with everything, but if you begin to think about it, you might just find yourself saying, you know, that makes sense. Let's turn within to the one that makes all kinds of sense, which is God. And let's feel that presence right now in the deep silences of your own soul. It is how Jesus said, when you pray, enter into your closet and pray to your Father in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. And so you can feel that sense of how the flow of life is. It starts with the subjective, and then it moves into the objective. And it's true for everyone. And so in the beginning, we find that the Spirit was hovering above the water, over and above the deep, the dark, the chaos. And in meditation and contemplation, God said, let there be light. And there was light. And the light is the light of men that Jesus has caught in his own torch of spirit and put it on a lampstand and suggest that we do the same so that the light can give illumination to all in the house so that they may receive the perception of something truly blessed and sacred within themselves, something truly transformative within themselves, to let what is in potential flower into the objective world. And so we have come to this moment in the deep silence of the heart, which also means soul. And we have resonated with the essence of creation, which is God, which is good, which is all-powerful, which is almighty. And now we are empowered this day, this very day, to speak our word for our best becoming. For each moment is an opportunity for us to be more, to do more, and to leave more of a legacy of goodness for all people, the light that is of the world, that it may transform others as it has transformed us into moving along this wonderful path where we flourish, flourish, flourish. And so we bless our world, we bless our state, we bless our country, we bless the earth, we bless the Ukrainians, we bless the Russians, so that they can have a sense of peace. We bless all these people who are hurting each other, hurting others, so that they can begin to see that you're hurting yourself. Not just your brother, not just your sister, you're hurting yourself. And it's incongruent with love, with peace. And so I know right now, only the best goes from us, and only the best returns to us. And knowing that this is true, I say, thank you, Father, Mother, God. And together let us affirm, and so it is. Please stand for the benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. The peace that passes all understanding. And so it is.